Hey there YouTube, it's Joe with Ink&Iron, and this is my follow-up video on what has turned out to be the most controversial multi-tool of the year. As my viewers know, I do not have that many subscribers. I think I've got about 65, and big shout out to all of you. Thank you very much for subscribing. I do appreciate it. And the video I did of my unboxing and initial impressions of the Leatherman Free, that video hit 7,000 views or so. It was way more popular than I was expecting, and let me tell you, a lot of people disliked that video because they disliked this tool. Now, I understand the dislike of this tool. There was a lot of hype surrounding it, and it did not live up to all of it. But what I'd like to do today is talk about the redeeming points of this tool, how the new technology that Leatherman has brought here should be used in future models, which are going to be related to this free P4 and P2 and the T series as well. The magnetic architecture they developed, I think, can be useful, but let's talk about which parts of it are working and which parts are not working. So first off, this is sort of a redesign by Leatherman. They used to use sort of a liner lock system for their tools. They now have this magnetic closure system, so everything deploys really easily, which is a huge plus. Whoops. Yeah, I have used this tool, as you can tell by the weird gunk that I have on that scraper. Of all the things like that this tool has going for it, I think that the deployment of the smaller tools, like the knot pliers, like the knives and the screwdrivers and whatnot, I think it's great. I think it's really easy. I'm not sure why this creaks so much when I deploy it. I'm not going to talk about it much. I don't need a saw anyway, so we're just going to avoid that. Yeah, the magnetic closure I think is really awesome. Honestly, I think it could be stronger. That would be my first critique. The pliers feel pretty good, but it feels like the magnets were calibrated to work really smoothly with the pliers. They feel a bit loose for these other tools, like they fly out a little too readily. And let me show you what I'm talking about. So these are from rivets, like pop rivets. They come with a weird little tail. Whoops, wrong one. So I used some steel rivets, and now I have these little steel tails. So these wire cutters are fantastic. Leatherman, never stop putting these on your future tools. They are the best. The fact that they're replaceable means that you don't have to worry about them. Alright, so let's put it in the hard wire cutter here, and I want you to watch what happens in this area. I will collect those later, but do you see how the tools are now in the space in between the handles? Like, they've popped out, which is kind of weird. Like, I think that's an oversight. So Leatherman, I would go from 100 Gauss, which is the rating they give their magnets, to maybe 150, 200 Gauss, just to try and retain these tools a little bit better, because you've definitely lost some retention ability with this new magnetic architecture. Another thing, this plier head, do you see how stiff this is? Like, it's super stiff. Let me bring out, this is my good old Leatherman Surge, which I've had for years, but you can see how this just kind of moves around freely. Like, the pivot has loosened up with time, whereas this one, the more I use it, the stiffer it seems to be getting. I don't know what's going on with that. I have tried putting lubricant like in here. I've tried putting it down in here and in between the jaws here. You can probably even see some of it still. Even like a penetrating lubricant to try and get in there and loosen it back up, because when the tool was new, it was moving even more freely than my surge, and now I'm not sure what happened. Just some light to moderate use. I would consider these sort of moderate use. That level of use has just stiffened them up, and I'm not sure what's going on with that. Another thing, the P2 version, so the version that is a little bit smaller than this, but is still a plier-based tool, it comes with a clip. Yeah, I don't know why this one only came with a lanyard loop. And then I contacted Leatherman. I was like, oh, hey, when are clips going to be available? Like right after I got this tool. And they were like, oh, yeah, they'll be up on the site in probably a week. Well, I went to the site a week later, and they weren't there. I went to the site 2 weeks later, weren't there. A month later, the clips still weren't there. As far as I know, the clips never showed up. That was a strange oversight. Not necessarily directly dealing with this tool, but it was related, and I thought it was quite odd. So yeah, that was a little bit disappointing from Leatherman. What else? I can understand people's complaints. As you can see, all three out of these four tools here, these three all look like screwdrivers and act like screwdrivers. This is not a good ruler. This is not a good file. They are mediocre screwdrivers at best. This is not an awl, okay? This is not sharp. Like, if I really jam this into myself, sure, I could punch through and maybe stitch up a hole in my, nylon tent or whatever. But no one needs this many flathead screwdrivers. Please never do this again, Leatherman. Please give us a variety of tools. I do like this screwdriver, this Phillips head. This is a nice substantial bottle opener for once. It's quite a thick tool. I don't think you can have all the tools that thick, but this tool does give me some confidence that I could use it hard. This is supposed to be like a package opener or like scraping tool, and I don't know why it's there, because this is a great scraping tool right here on the outside, like totally accessible right next to the knife blade. I don't know. There's too much redundancy and not enough variety here to be satisfying. And I'm sorry, I was going to try not to complain about this tool, but yeah, there really is a lot of stuff that needs to be addressed in the next iteration. Sorry about that motorcycle there. I am near an exterior window. What do I like about this tool? I do think that these sort of release mechanisms are nicely calibrated. Like the spring tension here is pretty good. So like if I deploy the blade and I need to bring it back, it's very easy to do with just my thumb, and then use the other finger to close it. I think that's good. That's well calibrated. The magnets in terms of the opening the pliers are well calibrated. They could be a little bit stronger to detain the smaller tools, all of your screwdrivers and whatnot. And what else do I like here? I used this end as sort of a hammer. I know you're not supposed to do things like that, but I looked at that and said, hey, that could be a hammer. Why not? And I used it as such, and it didn't do much damage to it. So that was good. I do think that it's pretty comfortable in the hand. These are pretty rounded squares, if you will, for this handle. grip area. I have used the Surge for years, and it's pretty similar feeling, I guess. In terms of the tool sets, I think the Surge is still unbeatable. I would not, if I had the option to carry the Surge, I would not be taking this tool out. That's just my experience right now. So Leatherman, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that this tool is a total loss because of the sort of flame war that erupted on the internet about it. I do think there are some redeeming qualities here. Even these like handle scale inlays, they feel nice. They look nice. I wouldn't mess with that. I think the aesthetic of this tool is totally intact. I think it looks good. However, the tool set and retention need some reworking. Let's talk about the exterior tools real quick. Why does this knife blade stick out above the handle, right? If I turn this around, that's nice and flat. Why? The portion of the blade that's mostly sticking out here is like an unsharpened swedge on the backside, which is absolutely mystifying to me as a knife collector. It's totally unnecessary, and it's really not doing you any aesthetic favors. That being said, this hollow grind and this blade are fantastic. So I would just stop messing around with the swedge on the back, make the tool a little bit lower profile, and then don't touch it. This serrated edge is fine. You see what I mean though? This is a nice skinny blade, and it lays flat in the handle, as it should. As I think it should be intended to lay. Of course, my opinion, your mileage can vary. I'm just trying to give some feedback to Leatherman, because I feel like the first 6 months of this year they've really been a punching bag for the knife community and the multi-tool community. And I think, in my life I find constructive feedback helpful. So that's what I'm trying to do mostly, and I'm sorry for airing all of my grievances at the same time. But yeah, there was some weird stuff going on with this tool, and that also need to be said. Does this mean I will stop buying Leatherman? Absolutely not. I did pay more for this tool than I did for my Surge, which I've had this Surge for 5 years. It's not without its own flaws. Because I've loved this multi-tool so much, I will give Leatherman the benefit of the doubt. I think they can learn from this experience, and they can bring a newer perspective and all the feedback they've been getting to the next iteration of these multi-tools. Yeah, it has a lot of good qualities, and it's just the new stuff that needs a second look, a little bit of reworking. It's the cost of innovation. You come up with an idea, you put it to work, and maybe it's not perfect. That's fine. That is totally fine. But to have problems with your new technology and to not take into account customer feedback will ultimately sink the good ship that is Leatherman. And I hope they listen to their customer base, and I hope you all found this interesting. Maybe tell me what you liked or didn't like about this multi-tool in the comments. I know there will be plenty of dislikes, and that's fine. I would just like you to keep in mind that if you are disliking a video because you dislike the tool in the video, that doesn't make sense. If the video sucked, please dislike it. If the tool sucks, like the video, and let me know why the tool sucks in the comments below. Alright, thanks for listening to this rambling, very tangential video today. Alright everybody, I will catch you on the next video.